Today is the 9th day of January, 2021. On the 9th of each month, communities have been invited to hold space for reflection on life, death, and transformation during this time of great uncertainty and suffering on the planet. And so I invite you to join me in a vigil today and on the 9th day of each coming month. Today we come together in this vigil to recognize, embrace, and transform the deep anger that we each carry within us at this time. We are angry, and rightfully so. We are filled with rage over all of the lives that have been lost needlessly, willfully, carelessly, over the lack of compassion and consciousness in our society, over injustice and oppression that continues to harm our brothers and sisters, over greed and selfishness that impoverishes others, over the negligence and squandering of the earth's resources, over the hatred and violence that is rising up around us, over our own inability to create change. We are angry, and we have repressed our anger for too long. We have been ashamed of our own anger and have tried to hide it. We have feared our own anger and have tried to dampen it. But today, we come together to unearth and explore our anger, to cherish and tend to our rage, to transform our pain into power. We now bring our attention to the present moment by taking 3 deep breaths. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Next, we light a candle together to create a sacred space. As we light this candle, we acknowledge the fire of rightful anger that burns within us. We ask that this fire be transformed into light for our illumination and heat to stir our passion and creativity at this time of great need. And now I will read a writing by David White on anger. Anger is the deepest form of compassion for another, for the world, for the self, for a life, for the body, for a family, and for all our ideals, all vulnerable and all possibly about to be hurt. Stripped of physical imprisonment and violent reaction, anger is the purest form of care. The internal living flame of anger always illuminates what we belong to, what we wish to protect, and what we are willing to hazard ourselves for. What we name as anger is actually only the incoherent physical incapacity to sustain this deep form of care in our outer daily life. The unwillingness to be large enough and generous enough to hold what we love helplessly in our bodies or our mind with the clarity and breadth of our whole being. We have been angry for so long now, we may have forgotten when or where it began. We may not be able to remember a time when there was not a fire of rage burning somewhere deep within. But we can no longer ignore the flames. We can no longer hold this fire imprisoned within ourselves where it threatens to destroy us. Raw anger that has never been expressed can burn us to the ground. We shout our anger into the forest. where it merges with the howling of the wind and becomes the song of a meadowlark. We cry our pain into the ocean, where the roar of the crashing surf enfolds it into a wave that dissipates gently on the shore. We scream our rage to the stars, where the infinite blackness of the universe reveals it to be the tiniest spark of sacred light. This fire within us is the same fire that makes up the stars and the suns. This fire is the life force that creates everything in existence. This fire of our anger, when embraced and cherished, becomes courage and love, passion and creativity, wisdom and determination. An unknown author wrote, "I sat with my anger long enough until she told me her real name was grief." We need to be willing to explore our hidden grief that has been shielded by anger in the past. Laurel K. Hamilton has said, "Most hatred is based on fear, one way or another." We face our fear directly so that our anger stays pure and honest. A Chinese proverb says, "If you are patient in a moment of anger, you will escape 100 days of sorrow." We must choose to practice patience as we embrace our anger. Thomas Fuller has written, "Two things a man should never be angry at: what he can help and what he cannot help." We temper our anger with wisdom so that we don't waste its power. Jean-Baptiste Alphonse Karr wrote, "Some people grumble that roses have thorns. I am grateful that thorns have roses." We remember to always find gratitude within our anger. We can now utilize this sacred fire of our anger to bring light and warmth to the deepest, darkest, and coldest parts of our being. With this fire, we can face our shadow and bring it into the light for healing. Once healed, we become an unstoppable force in the world for compassion, justice, generosity, kindness, safety, and caring. With the fire of our anger, we become, as David White wrote, large enough and generous enough to hold what we love with the clarity and breadth of our whole being. Our anger transforms into our deepest and holiest source of caring for this planet, this life, and all that we so precariously love. As we now contemplate our own sacred anger and how to utilize it as a force for good in the world, we open our hearts to contain all of our pain and rage without fear that they will cause destruction. We envision holding the flame of our rightful anger in one hand, and in the other hand we hold our courage. Placing our hands together over our hearts, we open to the warmth of compassion and the light of wisdom that emanate from our transformed anger. We hold space here in our hearts for the suffering of all beings and our planet in this moment, and we offer all the hope, creativity, and passion that burn within us as tools for change. Breathing in, we fill our hearts with the flame of love. Breathing out, we radiate light in every direction to all who have been left in the darkness. Please continue breathing love in and out for as long as you like as you pray and meditate during this music. Having come together in this vigil for transforming our anger, we now prepare to return to our daily lives. Repeat after me. I recognize that I am filled with the fire of anger, and this is good. I understand that anger, like fire, can lead to destruction or creation, and I choose to be a creator. I am willing to explore my anger, to heal any fear and grief that lie beneath it. I choose to use my healthy anger to help me heal my shadow. I release my anger from the prison of guilt I have built around it. I will use the power of my sacred anger to shine light on injustice and hatred in this world. I will use the power of my sacred anger to bring fearless compassion and caring to this world. I will be a force for healing the world through the wisdom and light of sacred anger that burns within me. Blessings to you as we go our separate ways.